Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. I want to thank everybody for having patience with me this last week. I had a ton of just extra responsibilities, and I simply didn't have time to work on the channel or contribute or anything like that. And I want to thank everybody for just kind of sending their well wishes, telling me to take care and stuff like that. Um, so I got double time to do. I got to take care of last week's videos, which is going to be classic prog. We're going to be checking those out, and I got to fit in black metal in this week as well. So I'm starting early. I'm getting a video out on Sunday. I'm not going to worry about trying to cover last week's Patreon picks or doing, the Sunday my picks, stuff like that. We're just going to get into this week, do back-to-back classic prog and then black metal, and then hopefully that I'll be caught up by Saturday, and I can do a Patreon picks, and then Sunday I can do some personal picks. So yeah, that's where we're at for the channel so far. This one's even coming out a bit late. I really wanted to get 2 done today, and I was like, okay, let's check out what's in store. Okay, we're doing Genesis today. Let's see what some popular picks are. I'm going through the comments. I'm screen capping everything for the next scene with the comments on it. And everybody's asking for this Supper's Ready. We got Born Villain, Super Stratosphere, G, Artist Circle, Jonathan Henderson, Ryan Pattinson, and Veit Notenbaum. Except Voight asked for Return of the Giant Hogweed. And G asked for Firth of Fifth. But pretty much everybody else asked for Supper's Ready. And I'm like, okay, let's get on to this. And it's a 25-minute song. So I'm only gonna get one video out today. It's late as it is, and I've got nighttime fatherly duties, getting kids to bed and stuff like that. So let's run through this Genesis track. Let's see what they're all about. Introduction to the classic prog week, and then I'll be back tomorrow. So. All right, and where's the play button? Let's go.
Looking across the sitting room, I turn the television off. Sitting beside you, I look into your eyes as the sound of motor cars fades in the nighttime. I swear
good vocal harmony.
Your face change. It didn't seem quite right. And it's hello, babe. With your
I like that jump into the key change. It sounded like.
Hey, my baby, don't you know our love is true?
Ooh, nice little run there on the guitars.
Coming closer with our eyes. A distance falls around our bodies.
Very sparse though.
Out in the garden,
1 guitar, a bass, and 1 and 2 vocalists.
6 saintly shrouded men move across the lawn slowly. The 7th walks in front with a cross held high in hand, and it's your supper's waiting for you.
These chord progressions are angelic.
Hey, my baby, don't you know our love is true? I've been so far from here, far from your warm arms. It's good to feel you again. It's been a long, long time.
Very cool. They're harmonizing certain parts of the lower, I guess for left on your side, the lower guitar part, and then the higher guitar part is emphasizing specific notes. It's not harmonizing the entire run. There's a name for that, I can't think of it off the top of my head. And I'm going to assume that that's full, 5 vocal tracking, not using like a choir effect or a chorus effect. Very playful organ line going on there. Digging that. We are starting to expand a bit. Kind of got to tighten up the soundscape again, bring it back down to a couple instruments. Kind of give that that organ a little bit of space.
I know a farmer who looks after the farm. With water clear, he cares for his harvest. I know a fireman who looks after the farm. Can't you see his food? Yes, he's here again.
There is a lot going on.
He's a supersonic scientist. He's a guaranteed eternal sanctuary man.
I like, despite all the moving parts, it's still legible. You can still really hear everything. Ooh. Dang, talk about a slow burn. Every time they get some momentum and they're pushing, they just bring all the energy right back down.
Wearing feelings on our faces, what our faces took a rest. We walked across the fields to see the children of the West. We saw a host of dark-skinned warriors standing still below the ground.
This song has this way of feeling like being home in the country. Just a bit of a wild drum part. Like that snare bit is just killing me. Like it's so weird. I'm enjoying it, but it's definitely A little eccentric. Very clean. Bring it back in.
Today's a day to celebrate the foe have met their fate. Order for rejoicing and dancing has come from our warlords.
I like that transition. It's just a simple volume fade, but it's like the start of a crossfade. The one section was fading into the other, but the other section was also fading, and that's kind of genius.
Wandering in the chaos the battle has left, we climb up the mountain of human flesh to a plateau of green grass.
I really like this vocal style more than the other one that the singer employs. It has like a narrative flair to it. Reminds me of like somebody telling a story in a musical.
He's been stamped human bacon by some butchery tool. He is you.
I feel like the story's getting dark.
Social
And not just because of the music, but this guy's talking about human meat now. And the song's called Supper's Ready.
As Narcissus is turned to a flower. A flower? If you go
A flower?
to Willow Farm to look for butterflies, flutterbugs, gutterflies, open your eyes. It's full of surprise. Everyone lies like the fox on the rocks.
Very nice triplet shift there.
And the musical box. Oh, there's mom and dad and good and bad, and everyone's happy to be here. There's Winston Churchill dressed in drag. He used to be a British flag. Plastic bag, what a drag. The frog was a prince. The prince was a brick. The brick was an egg. The egg was a bird.
Fly away, you sweet little thing, they are part of your tail.
Haven't you heard?
Shaped you to a human being.
Yes, we're happy as fish and gorgeous as geese and wonderfully clean in the morning. We've got everything. We're growing everything. We've got some men, we've got some.
Very compressed sound here.
Things floating about.
Interesting choice.
Everyone, we're changing everyone. You name them all, we've had them here. And the real stars are still to appear. Feel your body melt.
Man to man to man.
To dad, dad in the office, dad in the office.
Alright, so this section is super funky, and it also moves into these 3-pulse feels, and I love it.
Been here all the time. Like it or not, like what you got, you're under the soil.
And then, of course, the backing vocal stuff kills me.
So we'll end with a whistle and end with a bang, and all of us fit in our places.
Now, so far, there's been a lot of really cool stereo stuff going on, and this is a new stereo mix of the song. So, I'm kind of curious how a lot of this stuff played out in the original, because a lot of it is really cool work that I think amplifies the song that might not have been present in the mono, and yet it was still like this wild success. Everybody says it's one of their best songs, so, yeah. But like I can't even imagine the song in mono. Like there's so many things that are just key to the stereo. It's kind of weird for me to think that the stereo was, a remixed version of it, and that people didn't originally hear this version. This section is one of those that just kind of has this like feeling of being home, fields all around you, big open plot of land kind of thing. Which is weird because I can't really say I've ever known that, but it just transports me there immediately. It's kind of wild that we went from like super funky to like hyper rigid. Everything, quarter notes on the beat, so different. Those accents, man. I like how they're not afraid of quarter note. I feel like modern prog, there's a lot of fear of being normal. This is such a simple riff on another simple riff, but just the way that they accent different things, it sounds chaotic. that little offbeat hit to come into the section. Still just like hyper rigid here on the underlying riffs. A lot of genius stuff going on here. Oh, I was expecting something a little bigger. The way those bells came in.
Hey, my baby, don't you know our love is true? I've been so far from here, far from your loving arms.
Turn it into a bit of a ballad. I really like the way the guitar is playing against the vocalist here. Really cool counterpoint going on. Alright, and then we fade out. Huh. Alright. So that was Genesis. Huh. All right, so yeah, there's a lot of really cool things going on here, but I think what I want to point out and talk about most is some of the ideas that kind of went against my concepts of what I thought prog was. And that's mostly going to be about what prog means to me in the modern day. And a lot of it is genre mashup. I feel like a lot of modern prog, much like Between the Buried and Me, is all about being technically proficient and utilizing odd time signatures and kind of mashing a bunch of genres together into your metal and kind of being progressive. Actually, the progressive, word out of Prague, and kind of pushing metal in other directions, usually in the directions of other genres, other styles, stuff like that. Um, and it's really interesting to come to this music from that mindset. Now, I don't know if the rest of the week's going to sound like this or if this is something specific to Genesis, but time signature didn't really change much. Tempo, we had a couple of tempo changes, but they weren't extremely wild. Um, the key signature might have changed a couple of times, but for the most part, nothing really stood out too much. Um, yeah, but here's where it's interesting. Um, Prague, at least this song, I'm gonna stick with it. This song really is progressive in the means of taking basic ideas and expanding upon them with different textures and in different contexts. And I don't think that's something we see too much in, well, at least the modern prog I've been exposed to. I don't really see that too much. And it really threw me off because for a lot of this, I'm like, okay, we had a transition here. This is a different style. This is a different style. We're moving through all these different scenes. I'm like, but it's also just kind of a straightforward rhapsody that happens to be utilizing a bunch of different styles, but musically, it's all fairly simple. There's not a lot going on in the music that is, technical or, wild time signature changes or anything like that. Um, but the more I listened to it, the more I realized where the prog aspect is coming from. And I think my brain is going to associate these ideas with prog more than progressive. And I think mentally I'm going to have this divide between, prog rock, which would be classic prog, and then progressive rock, progressive metal, which is more of the modern stuff. There's a very different, there's a very, strong divide between uh, what I'm seeing so far, um, in concepts and ideas between these two styles. And if you look at this song in particular, like I said, a lot of the music is rather simple. There's nothing too crazy here in, technical performance. There's nothing really crazy in the composition, but there is complexity in texture. Every section has its own soundscape. It isn't just about playing a ballad section or playing a harder rock section or playing uh whatever. They are shifting styles between each section, but they're also shifting the tones, the timbres of the instruments. They're singing differently. The guitars are having different tones. The organ has a different tone. And a lot of that adds to the character of the sections, and that's not something we see too much in modern, prog rock, prog metal, stuff like that. Um, it's it's more about the music and how the music evolves more so than the sounds and tones of the instruments. And in here, that is a vocal point. Yes, one section might be swingier, one might be, more straight, rigid. Some might be more whimsical because they're using acoustic guitars, stuff like that. But they also change up the timbres of everything. It would not surprise me if some of these sections have huge equipment shifts. Um, Swapping out guitars with different pickups on them to produce different sounds, and the guitars are obviously running through different sets of preamps and amps and pedals and all that stuff. It's just, even though it is, for the most part, from what I could tell, a singer, two guitarists, a bassist, a organ player, pianist, and a drummer. It sounds like there's easily 20, 25 instruments in the song itself, just because of how often they change the timbre of the instruments. The other thing that really caught my eye closer to the end of the track is they're not reluctant to play simple lines. I feel like a lot of modern, especially when you look at more technical musicians or musicians who are in prog bands, I think that there's a reluctance to play simple. It's a fear that if it's too simple, that it isn't progressive and you're failing at what you've set out to do or set out to be, or something like that. And here they have absolutely no problem just playing quarter notes. There's an entire section, 3-4 minutes long. Every instrument played quarter notes. The complexity came in the context. And that was the second thing I was talking about. We talked about the textures of the sounds, which is the timbre and the tones and the pedals and all that. Now we're talking about context, complexity in context. When you have just straight quarter notes, that could be a very boring sound. Do 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 do. I mean, that's boring. No one really wants to listen to that. But when you're playing that and accenting, beats 1 and 3 of your first bar, and maybe 1 and 4 of your second bar, or any other sorts of crazy things, it's all about where you're accenting, and your accent points can change. Instead of just a 2-bar phrase of accent, you gotta have a 4-bar phrase of accent or an 8-bar phrase of accent, where you never really let your listener really figure out where the loop begins and ends, and it makes it more difficult for them to figure out what notes are going to be accented. Even though you might have a 2-bar phrase, you have a 4-bar repetition, a 4-bar riff of accenting. So it sounds like a different riff, even though you're playing the same notes over and over, or you're playing the same notes for 2-bar, groupings. Because you're changing the way that they're accented. You're not using an accent map, kind of a way to think about it, of 2 bars. You actually have a 4-bar or an 8-bar map of these accents. It makes it a lot more difficult to really figure out, and it adds complexity to a rather simple line. Now, if you play that underneath a lead who is also playing quarter notes, but maybe throwing in, 2/8 notes on one instead of one of the quarters on beat 3 of every third bar or something like that. Maybe they're accenting different notes. Maybe they have a swell. Maybe they have a pan going, from ear to ear. That makes it sound a lot more complex, even though everybody's still playing quarter notes. Then you have your drummer, who might be accenting different things, or maybe every 4 bars he switches from a crash to a ride, or from snares to the toms or something like that. And even though everybody's playing quarter notes, this is the most basic rhythmic concept, and even the melodic concepts aren't too difficult. The bassist sounded like he mostly played a pedal tone throughout most of the ideas, kind of playing maybe a root note of the chord, or maybe like a third or fifth in the chord. And then your guitarists, usually they seem to be walking up or down, maybe arpeggiating or something like that, walking up and down a chord. It's nothing really complex going on, but it's when you combine all of this with your accenting and swells and pans and all the engineering side of stuff. Although honestly, some of that stuff is probably done with pedals. I don't know when this came out. I'm guessing 70s, 60s, 80s, somewhere in that time. Anyways, I'm guessing it'd be earlier. It might have been done in a single recording session, and so it probably been done with pedals. I mean, I guess you could have your. I mean, engineers are probably a lot more used to doing live tweaking, and maybe that would have been their job to pan it during the recording. But I mean, either way, a lot of these effects I think were done live, and that just kind of makes it even better, more impressive. But yeah, so that those two things really stood out to me that I wasn't expecting. We've listened to some more modern prog. We've checked out Between the Buried and Me and Haken and I'm completely blanking out. Oh, Rivers of Nile. They're kind of proggy, right? I don't know. Um, but yeah, we've checked out some. Oh, and Tool. We checked out Tool, and I kind of have this concept of what modern prog is, modern progressive music is, and this just threw me for a loop. This had nothing that I was expecting. Um, and everything that I just had no idea I would want. I also just really like the feelings of the song. Um, they have no issues being fun sometimes, being dark sometimes, being, swingy and melancholy, somber. A little bit of some of these sections were kind of joyous, even kind of have like a carnival singing style. Um, so yeah, like I really enjoyed this. It completely threw me for a loop. I am hoping the rest of this week is similar. I'd like to see maybe like a gap bridging some of these ideas of context and texture and kind of merging that with the um, complexity in playing, complexity in composition, stuff like that we see a lot in modern prog. But as far as kind of seeing the birth of the genre, if the rest of this week's going to be like this, I'm excited for it. I really enjoyed this song. Um, and of course, it can't be prog without that trance likeness to it. And this section had that. Not necessarily in spades, but it definitely had a few instrumental sections that were kind of drony. And I would be lying if I said that I didn't just kind of zone out a couple of times and just fall into the groove. I can't really tell you what the music was going on. When I came out of it, I was like, oh, geez, I don't have anything to say about that. And I'm pretty sure I was silent for like 2 minutes straight. But yeah, that's part of the music. It's I would not be meeting it on its own terms if I intentionally fought against falling into that trance at times. Um, so yeah, real cool stuff. And is there another band called Genesis? Because uh, I'm familiar with that drummer. Ah, dang, I just blanked out on his name. Anyways, he did Can Feel It in the Air Tonight. I can't think of his name. He does the the famous do 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 ga doom dun 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 dun. I can't think of his name though. Anyways, he was a drummer for a band called Genesis, right? Is this the same Genesis? Is he the drummer on this? Phil Collins, that's his name. Um, I don't know. That's uh, like this blew my mind. This was not what I was expecting at all because if this is Phil Collins, I'm expecting more of like his Phil Collins solo stuff, which was not proggy at all. Kind of surprised to hear this. I don't know. You guys got to hit me up and straighten me out on this. Is there two bands named Genesis? If not, is this Phil Collins? I don't know. That threw me for a loop even at the beginning, and even now I need to get straightened out on this one. That's where you guys come in. Though, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought about Genesis. Supper's ready. I'm probably going to be checking out the lyrics because I feel like there's a very interesting story here. But even if there's not, I mean, no, that is not where I'm. Man, my brain's all weird. Okay, I think there's an interesting story here. But even if I don't end up checking out the lyrics, I need you guys to hit me up in the comments and let me know what's up with the story of the song. I'm really interested in what's going on with that. Like I said, I've really, the beginning gave me like home on the range, country living, come on home, supper's ready kind of stuff. And then they were talking about like human meat soups. And yeah, it kind of lost me at the end. I was just really getting into the music. But if, you guys got to hit me up on the themes of this, though. The lyrical themes. Um, yeah, you can put that down in the comments. And while you're down there, you can like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We passed 10K. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So excited. We did that this morning, I think. And I tweeted about it, real excited. I don't know what I'm going to do to celebrate yet. I'm thinking of some sort of live stream event. Maybe like me writing or playing some stuff while taking questions, and you guys can see me flop around in a DAW because honestly, that's my weakest aspect. I am literally a sheet music writer and a musician, and like the whole engineering side is just foreign to me. Um, so maybe we can install some VSTs and noodle around, and I can learn how to play some software, learn how to use some software. You guys ask me questions and stuff. I don't know, just kind of spitballing here. Um, I guess if you guys have any ideas for what to do for a 10K celebration, hit me up in the comments with that too, and I'll see what's possible. Yeah, you guys can hit up my Twitter or my Patreon. Those links are in the description. And I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, 5 p.m. on time, with one or two videos. I just I gotta get double timing. We got 10 videos I want to get out by, well, 9 now, that I want to get out by Saturday ish. And being that this week's prog metal, or prog, classic prog, and this song was 25 minutes long, I'm kind of expecting a lot of this stuff to be pretty long. Um, so, yeah. I think I can do it. My Wednesday's pretty open. I think I'm gonna get some stuff done on Wednesday. Tomorrow's gonna be a little tight though. Tomorrow might be another one video day. It depends. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow at least with one video, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until then, you guys stay safe out there and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.